extremely comfortable. We are extremely proud of our accomplishments thus far. That is the NHC. We have distributed just over.
The mic is not on. Is the mic on? Please to put it on. In 10 minutes? In 10 minutes? Why 10 minutes? 10 minutes longer already. 5 minutes.
When we say 100% crime, people put your hands in the air. I want to see the hands up now. 100% crime, free hands in the air. 100% crime, free raise up your hands. 100% crime, free hands in the air. 100% crime, free raise up your hands. If you love one another, do some bouncing together. Bounce when the lady hit you. No, hands in the air. Hands in the air. If you love one another, do some bouncing together. Bounce when they really hit you. No, hands in the air. Put on your guns. Hands in the air. Blaze them down. We don't want no crime. Guns. We don't want no crime. Violence is taking over. What can we do? I shot the crime. One of
Look how the place full of us again. Look how the place full of energy. When we say energy, it's about unity.
We have seen what can be achieved when we are at peace. We all know that it isn't by luck or by chance that our streets are becoming safer. It is because Team Unity is putting
Good
people
night.
before politics and working to deliver a better future for all of us. We cannot take our progress for granted. Working together with a unified approach, we can build a safer, brighter, and better future for all of our people.
East and west got to civilize. Our twin federation is on the rise. As it close, it be no need corruption. It's so amazing to see my people living in harmony.
This year, we open an exciting new chapter in the history of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. By working together, 2020 can be the year we make our streets safer, build bigger and better homes, create even more jobs, and provide opportunities for our young people and for every other person. This will be the year we position St. Kitts and Nevis for a safer, stronger, and brighter future. Indeed, future generations will look back and say, 2020 is when St. Kitts and Nevis really stepped up. This was the
Good
year
night. Those on the
Team
outside,
Unity
can you come in?
consolidated the
Fill the
gains and
chairs
built a
on the
safer,
inside.
better, and brighter future.
Keep on no argument. We don't want no peace, want no strength. Some would bad mind.
Good night to everyone. Those of you on the outside, there are still empty chairs on the inside. We are about to begin tonight's town hall meeting. Of course, first we will have a word of prayer. We always start our meetings with prayer, which is so important. And I call Mr. Mark Huggins, who will do the opening prayer.
Can I invite you to stand, please? The words of the songwriter declared, we've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never fails us yet. That's why we're singing. Oh, we can turn back. We've come this far. Could we sing it one more time? We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy words. You never failed us yet. That's why we're singing. Oh, we can turn back. We've come this far by faith. Hallelujah. 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 Righteous God, our Father, our friend, our provider, our deliverer, our sustainer, we humbly approach your throne this evening. First, we want to appreciate you for who you are, God of all, King of all kings, Lord of all lords, Lion of the tribe of Judah. We thank you. We adore you. Secondly, we approach your throne and we are asking of you to forgive us. Forgive us where we would have erred, where we would have done wrong, and don't even realize that we would have done wrong. We pray this evening that you forgive us. And after, God, you would have forgiven us. You have given us the unction, God, to come boldly unto your throne of grace, there to obtain mercies and to find help in time of need. And so this evening we call you, God, on behalf of this meeting. God, a meeting where we would have all gathered, and no doubt we would have all have our questions. And God, we would have all looked towards our leaders for an answer. And so, Father, I pray for all of our leaders who are here today. We ask, God, that you will remember them. God, we remember the king in the Bible, the man by the name of Solomon, when he was called to lead your people. God, he was very much a leader, did not know, God, what to expect from the people. And so he come boldly before you. And he prayed, God, I ask of you that you will give me the courage, that you will give me the strength, that you will give me the understanding, whereby, God, I would be able to go about leading your people. And so this evening, I pray for our leaders, from the Prime Minister, God, right down to every member, oh God, of the cabinet. I ask of you in the name of Jesus that you will grant them wisdom. Because in these days, they need your wisdom. Wisdom in how to execute judgment, God, to the people of this lovely federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. I pray, eternal God, that you will not only grant them wisdom, but you will grant them understanding. Because there are people in whom they may not be able to understand. But by your grace and by your mercy, God, I pray that you will keep them together so that they will understand the people and use wisdom, God, in their judgment, God, to do that which is right on behalf of the people of this lovely land. God, whatever is to be said and done today, I pray for peace among us as a people. I not only pray for peace among us as a people, but I pray, God, that we would understand who we are tonight, and that we would behave ourselves in the best way we ought to, knowing, eternal God, that we would only get through this if we all be in obedience, God, to that which is to happen here tonight. I pray, God, that your anointing rest upon these leaders. Rest upon them. You have brought us a mighty long way. God, when we look back through the ages, when we see the things that were happening among us, God, when we look at the wars and we look at the strife and we look at the pain that so many parents have been through, so many relatives have been through, we can certainly say, like like brother Paul, Abraham, hitherto has the Lord helped us. So, Father, we thank you for helping us. And we want to thank you for carrying us through the period of this town hall meeting. And not just only for tonight, but, God, for the rest of the reign of saying, God, have your way with our leaders and with us. In Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Huggins. We have come this far by faith. Please remain standing for the national anthem, which will be done by Miss Laverne Hutchinson and Mr. Shamar Pemberton.
O land of beauty, our country where peace abounds, thy children stand free on the strength of will and love, with God in all our struggles. St. Kitts and Nevis be a nation bound together with a common destiny. As stalwarts we stand for justice and liberty, with wisdom and truth. can conquer, for God will sure defend. His blessing shall forever to posterity extend.
We can be seated. Welcome to all of you. We have come for the first town hall meeting in a series of town hall meetings to celebrate the government's 5th year anniversary in office. Under the theme, Stronger, Safer, Future. And I'm sure that all of us gathered here and people in the country can feel the atmosphere of strength and safety and security that we have at this present time. Let me introduce you to the head table. Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Deputy Prime Minister, Parliamentary Representative for Constituency number 5, the Honorable Sean Richards. Senior Minister, the Honorable Vance Amory. The Honorable Eugene Hamilton, Parliamentary Representative for Constituency number 8. The Honorable Ian Patches Liebert. The Honorable Attorney General Vincent Byron. And the Honorable Wendy Phipps. We are here tonight, and it is a wonderful time in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis. Stronger, safer future. One that we all need, we all want. And one that over the 5 years of the government's stewardship administration, that they have worked hard to build a stronger and a safer future. And we can all give testimony to that. So we should give the members at the head table, all of our political leaders, a round of applause. And as we go about the celebrations for the 50th anniversary of the government, I know that you will give your full support and that you will come out in your numbers to all the town hall meetings and in the communities when the government has its walkthroughs, that you would give your support, that you will share your concerns so that they can be addressed. Our parliamentary representative for constituency number 8, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, is fortunate because he leads off the town hall meeting in the series. I would now invite him to give his presentation. Please help me to welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I don't know if I'll stick to it, but I plan only to speak to my performance as a candidate, as the elected representative for this constituency in the last 5 years. The performances that have benefited thousands of persons who not only live in this constituency, but who live in this country, and even those who live in the diaspora. But before doing so, I want to acknowledge, of course, the presence of our distinguished Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris, the presence of our distinguished Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Kenneth Richards, the presence of our Senior Minister from our sister island in Nevis, of course, the Honorable Vance Amory, the presence of our Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liebert, the presence of our Attorney General, the Honorable Vincent Fitzgerald Byron, and the presence of our Senator and Minister in the Ministry of Health, the Honorable Wendy Colleen Phipps. I see in the audience, of course, Ambassador Michael Powell. So far, let us welcome him. Other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good night. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. If you've read Hamlet, if you've read anything by Shakespeare and you've read Hamlet, you will know that Hamlet was really saying that God is in everything. God is in control. It is He that marshals all of the decisions of this world, good or bad, to be an example to those who come behind so that we can shape the thinking based on history. God is in control. There is a divinity that shapes our ends. I say that because we have joined together as a team unity government, and we know that the sum total of our individual efforts working together is far greater than our individual efforts working alone. And so as we work together, you can expect more and bigger and greater things to happen, things that will benefit the quality of life of individuals of this nation. We have been charged with the authority of God Himself. We have been charged to be compassionate to our brothers and sisters. We have been charged, many lessons can be learned from the good book. Compassion is one of the things that drives and inspires this Team Unity administration. It is why so many good things have happened, benefiting the greatest number of people. We have done the greatest good for the greatest number of people.
Yes, you have.
We have been governed by some fundamental principles. The principle of compassion and collaboration. We collaborate on all things. The fundamental principle of consultation. We are a consultative group of persons, and even in other things which do not involve us, which involve other decisions, we consult, pull together the best minds in those areas which we are discussing, and then make decisions based on information from the best minds. We are a communicative group. We communicate, and because of that communication, we are a cohesive group. And when we differ on things as individuals do, we apply consensus in decision making. That is why when we make decisions, especially at cabinet, it is the decision of all of us working together to come to a consensus. That is a fundamental principle. We do so because we understand that no man is an island. No one has a monopoly on ideas. That's why we collaborate, communicate, and come to consensus. You called for unity. We gave you unity. Think about it. Before we as a team decided to form a unity government, you called for unity, we gave you unity, responding to you. You called for governance, good governance. We gave you good governance in the 5 years. You called for peace and tranquility, and we gave you peace and tranquility. Look at what's with crime and you can see. What you have asked for, we have delivered. You asked us to provide hope and opportunity. And if you're frank with yourself and with everyone else, we have delivered hope and opportunity to every citizen of this country. I could go on and talk about the politics because the truth be told, we have come through some things that many seem to forget. You have forgotten the days when a prime minister will have an election and go away for weeks and tell you he could run a country on a BlackBerry. We have forgotten that. And it seems like some people want to go back to that. We have forgotten that a prime minister could turn to his people and call them pigs. We seem to have forgotten that and want to go back to something like that. We have forgotten that there was a period when for 26 months this country was hijacked. Our constitution raped and torn up. We seem to have forgotten that. We cannot forget that. That is why I say there is a divinity that shapes our ends. God is in control. This is not the time to forget what has happened. I still remember what John Compton said, you know. John Compton said that building a country is like filling a bathtub using a teaspoon. Every day you go carry a teaspoonful of development in that country. And when the bath pan nearly full to the brim, some damn fool come and kick it over. It seems to me that the bucket's full of development put in by Team Unity, some damn fool want to come and kick it over. And we must not allow that. We must not allow that at all. Let me divert from so much that people might say is politics and speak about my stewardship for a bit. I want to turn to my stewardship because when you listen to the things we have accomplished in 5 years, and I don't even know if I'm going to list all, you will realize this government has performed. 5 years ago, when my journey began as a minister, I looked across my constituency and I recognized that Cayon and Connery presented an opportunity to have picket fencing installed, and so we did. And you know what pleases me? When I see a taxi comes up to Cayon and they tell the driver to stop the tourists and stop and take a picture of what we have in Cayon, picturesque side of the roadway. People here take it for granted. You see it every day, so it don't seem like none to you. But look at when the tourists stop and take a picture. You understand the value. Yes. of that kind of development in the constituency. When I see the taxi drivers stop, I am pleased, because it means we're not only pleasing the taxi drivers or the tourists themselves, but your country gets promoted from the pictures they take and take with them far and abroad. 5 years ago, my journey brought improvement to the south building of the Cayon High School. It was refurbished. The south building that runs alongside the back street, that was done under Team Unity. And to add to that school, a new building was built in the southwest of the corner of the school. And to add to that school, a new building was built, outfitted with 24 tables so that the people can do technical drawing using AutoCAD. In that school, under my stewardship. I am not doing it for me. It is for children. The children you send to school can benefit. If they didn't have the capacity to do AutoCAD drawings, they can now get involved because we put it in the school. The same is true about the Cayon Primary School as well. Because the Cayon Primary School for 72 years had asbestos roofing on the main building, and it took a Team Unity government and your representative to remove asbestos from the roof. When we remove asbestos from the roofing of the school, it is for the benefit of the children that are going to school and those to come. We now have a proper roofing. The same is true about the St. Peter's School. We put a new roof on the St. Peter's School as well. Therefore, we reduce the risk, the hazard of cancer in our society by bringing that safety to these children who go to that school. In that primary school, a computer lab was established where there are 24 computers so that children can sit and understand. This is what children are doing today, playing around with their phones and all the technology. The technology is now in the primary school. It was not there before. It has now come under the Team Unity administration and my stewardship. In St. Peter's, we've done the same. In the St. Peter's School, we also put a lab. 15 computers are there now that children could go and use the technology, understand how to develop themselves for the 21st and other centuries, because technology is what is driving the development around the world. I know you don't mind if I speak a bit before I go further about some of my personal contributions. I say some, because you see, some people forget the number of footballs that you buy and share and give to the schools, Cayon School, high and low, high and junior, primary, and those in St. Peter's as well, footballs. These are personal contributions. Some people forget sponsorship of all of the school events. The people who are doing sports, who want equipment so that they can build themselves a new sand pit, sponsorship of that. Sponsorship of the teens show, Prince and Princess show. People forget that. Sponsorship of the Prince and Princess show is something that I do from time to time. Back to school programs, books, pencils, pens, geometry sets. Personally do things like that. And so people forget. I'm saying I'm only naming a few. I don't have to spend time on that because the truth is, I'm just naming a few.
That's how you spend the money.
My 5-year journey brings me to a refurbished health center. People don't realize that we refurbished the Cayon Health Center. If you go there now, I don't know when last summer you went there, if you go there now, it's a brand new, it looks like a brand new facility. The same is true. I don't know if we have our people here on the cameras, but I hope they will be able to show it, I don't know. If you look at St. Peter's, for example, in St. Peter's community, I was hoping that they will be able to show it on the screen. There will be a brand new health center in the St. Peter's community. That's it. That health center will begin in St. Peter's in the next few weeks. St. Peter's is the fastest growing area in the constituency. And that is what we have in St. Peter's. Yes, of course, in Connery, we established 2 days a week for a doctor and nurse to be at the community center to look after the people in Connery. That was not there before. My 5-year journey, recapping the 5-year journey, takes me to housing. Housing has gone through a revolution in many ways. A revolution in Constituency 8 in particular. During the last administration, they built a whole set of houses. Not one was built in Constituency 8. Some are built in Lodge, some in Central Bastia, some in Sandy Point. Not one was built in Constituency 8, built. But I can tell you that today, as we speak, in Constituency 8, in this 5 years, we have built over 100 houses in this constituency. Thank you. Let me go a little deeper on that. When it's all said and done, St. Peter's will get the most. They have 51. 51 in St. Peter's. It's not a part of the constituency that give me the greatest support, but they still got 51. They're ahead of everybody else in the constituency. So I am not building houses because of support. I'm building because of need. The greatest need was in St. Peter's. Bigger bedrooms, bigger bathrooms, 862 square feet, gone from 600 and something square feet to 862 square feet. You could now put a king-size bed in that room, and it could still hold your dressing table. Bigger, better. They used to give you a house without cupboard and tiles and paint. When you move in, you don't have to do nothing now. Just move in. A revolution, I say. That's what I say, a revolution. And what is more revolutionary than reducing your interest to 2%? They used to have interest at 7%. We have reduced the interest to 2%. Revolutionary. Tomorrow at St. Peter's, tomorrow afternoon at St. Peter's, we're going to showcase a new model, a model of housing where you have a studio apartment. It could be used for a single person. It could well be used also for those persons who have a social problem. You know, we have some battered women. I ran into a couple of them since I'm in this, especially since I'm the minister. Battered women. Maybe there's some battered men too, don't get me wrong. So that it could be used for that. Tomorrow we will demonstrate that about 5 o'clock in the afternoon in St. Peter's. My journey took me, my journey of 5 years takes me to the roads in Stapleton. We have done roads in Stapleton, roads in Cunningham Heights, roads in Cabbage Tree, phase 2. And you know what? Cabbage Tree phase 2. Since the turn of this century, never had cable. They were telling them you had to find $1,500 if you want cable. On the Team Unity government, cable is there and they had to pay a cent in Cabbage Tree housing. I don't live up there. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for those who are in need of the help. My God tells me in 1 John 3 and 17, verse 17, that if you have the world's goods, and you see your brother in need, you must show compassion on your brother, or as God love don't abide in you. And that's why I do it, for no other reason. I can't forget, I should not forget, that we have just done a road at Atlantic View in Connery, a road that takes you all the way across to Coy Hotel. we have been doing roads. Roads in Cunningham Village. All of Spooner's well fitted out with roads. And so too is Cabbage Tree Housing. And I can tell you, we are expanding the electricity across the Hermitage area here and in White House Gardens because many persons have land and we want to encourage them to build or to build for them. So we are working on moving electricity into those areas as we speak. You may have noticed that I haven't spoken about resurfacing the Island Main Road. We could easily forget that. Island Main Road is resurfacing as we speak, and here in Cayon we have straightened out that place and put a proper bridge so that you don't have to get stopped when it is flooding anymore. But you know what is important about this road repair work, whatever you want to call it, fixing the road? Go down in the river gut of Cayon, and you will see that we are building a walkway from down in the gut all the way up to the school. For 20 years we had a Labour government and they never did it. Team Unity is doing it so that children and older folk can take a stroll up the road with reduced risk of getting knocked down by a vehicle. That is a Team Unity government working for you. Recapping my 5-year journey takes me to the sporting events and complexes in the constituency. We have refurbished the sports complex in St. Peter's, spent over $150,000. If you see how they had those windows smashed in. Now we have done even something better. We have renamed it the Atiba Harris Sporting Complex. After one of our great friends who have gone, demonstrated that he could make it on the international scene and comes back and gives back to his community. We have new basketball hoops right now in the country. They should have come before. Let me tell you this. We ordered new basketball hoops to install in St. Peter's to coincide with the renaming. They arrived late. Within a week, St. Peter's basketball will have new basketball hoops and spring rings as well. In a week. In Connery, their football field was resurfaced and regrassed. Their netball and basketball courts have had brand new lighting fixtures put in. We've also installed new backboards and hoops at the basketball court so that the people in Connery have the distinction of being able to play every sport in Connery. Cricket, football, basketball, netball, table tennis. Connery is one of the sporting communities that must have everything. Let us give Connery a round of applause, please. I wonder if they have the Connery Stadium. You want to put that on screen for me? Oh yes, that is going to be the new stadium in Connery. Just now. I am not talking about next year, you know. This is all budgeted for in 2020. So Connery will have that in the next few weeks. Keys Village got out the blocks very early. Their basketball court was resurfaced. They got new hoops and backboards and new spring rings. Then, of course, we fixed the football field and put in goal posts down there, which was not there before. Now the youth can take advantage of that field. And what is more, Keys is a unique community. They have a little hangout up there where Cook Shop used to be. On the other side is a sort of bus terminal. Man, and they have electricity there now, so they could spend hours and commune, talk as a community, and of course entertain themselves. So they have access to electricity right there. That was not there before. To crown things off in sports, we come to Cayon. And in Cayon, Maynard Park, basketball and netball were both resurfaced. And Maynard Park received brand new hoops, backboard, and spring rings. They were installed at Maynard Park. And then at St. Mary's Parks, we are one of 3 places in the country that now have flood lighting where you could play cricket and football when night comes. My 5-year journey, recapping my 5-year journey takes me to hurricane relief roofing program. In my constituency, we have engaged throughout, and while there are those who may be on a short list still waiting, we know that repairs had been done to over 500 homes in this constituency alone. More than 500 homes have benefited from the roofing program of the government. Look, say what you like. That's why I tell you the government has performed, you know. This is not the first time we had a hurricane. We had plenty hurricane in the 90s. And our government has never lifted a finger to help one person in the country. And in 2018, we had 2 hurricanes. Recognizing that some people were suffering from the hurricane, we set about to help them fix their roof. I know some people still have their roofs need fixing. But when 500 people done benefit, we are doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people. 500 people in my constituency alone. The contractors who work on those buildings, some of them smiling. Because truth be told, $2.5 million gone into contractors' pocket from roofing in my constituency alone. You understand? The people who work in my constituency have already gotten $2.5 million from doing the roofing program. You understand? When I recap my 5-year journey, it takes me to land distribution. In this constituency, over 300 people have already received land under the team unity administration. Recall that the previous government ran up debt, could not pay its debt, and decided to swap your land for the debt. 1,700 acres was swapped for debt. Poof! Away. Gone from you. This team unity administration is buying it back. So far, we have been able to buy back some last year and this year. We're buying it back because there are people who still want land. And we are concerned that those people who don't have should get. That's why we're buying it back. We have decided to repurchase the land over time. Again, I said last year, we purchased some. This year, well, the last 2 years, this year we will do some more. I believe in this area, somewhere in the vicinity of 125 acres have been repurchased. I think that's about the thing. So you mean that quite a few people will get the opportunity to own land as we go into 2020 and beyond. Listen, if I stay here and speak about everything that happened in this constituency, we'll be here for many hours. And I really want to give you an opportunity to ask questions. Because you see, some people have forgotten from where we have come. We just like, you know, you all read the Bible? You ever know what happened to the people of Israel? You all know about that? They wanted to turn back, getting led into the promised land, and they want to turn back. You remember that? Yes. You understand? Listen, when you read your Bible, you understand. There is no turning back. We have been led from this wilderness into the promised land by Dr. Harris. And we will get there through 2020, 2025, and 2030. All we need is the support of the people of this country. Hope was lost under the Douglas administration. Hope was lost under the Douglas administration. The Team Unity government has returned hope and opportunity to each and every one in this country, and even in the diaspora as well. My 5-year journey, as I recap, took me to the development of such things as tertiary education. And I still know how many persons, teachers, who are benefiting from scholarships to do their master's program. As we speak, there are about 9 or 10 people from this constituency in Taiwan, full scholarship. I know 3 of them from Cayon, who are there in Taiwan, all expenses paid pursuing tertiary education. And more will go this year and next year. And so, no stone has been left unturned when it comes to further education, especially under the leadership of our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Kenneth Richards. In short order, I will push to acquire the old Heart and Hand Lodge so we could turn it into a monument, something where we can have a center of excellence named after Ison Wharton, who has done a lot for this community. In short order, I will push for the completion of the cotton ginnery in Spooners so that it becomes a tourist destination for those who are traveling the country. In short order, I will push for a basketball court to be in Upper Cayon so that the Upper Cayon folks can have their own basketball court right there in Cabbage Tree Phase 2. In short order, I will push for a health center in Connery as long as the data tells me in the next year or so that Connery has sufficient work for a clinic to do. In short order, we'll push for that. In short order, I look forward to building more than 100 homes in this constituency so that people can benefit from what we do. In short order, we will produce enough so that those who have gone before, who are not coming again, will leave room for those who are behind. Those of you who have homes, and those of you who don't have homes, and you feel a little jealous of those who have, your time is coming. Don't be jealous, your time is coming. I am telling you, I stand here tonight as the elected representative for this constituency for 2 straight terms. No one can deny that in the first term, I represented this constituency well, and in the second term as minister, I've done even better, lots better. Am I perfect? No. Are we perfect? No. If any of you got faults, throw the first stone. Don't have faults, throw the first stone. Because we are all guilty of being faulty. None of us are perfect. Only Christ, only God is. So you will find a lot of fault with me. That's fine. But think of this thing. We have done the greatest good for the greatest number of people. We bring you hope and opportunity. We bring you the goods that God has given to us so that those who are less fortunate can benefit from our stewardship. Why I offer myself for a second term? Because I want to contribute. I am not looking a thing for myself. I'll tell you this before I close. Before I came into this job as Minister of Government, the money I get as government, I was getting 3 times as much. I'm not doing this for money. Those who want to come for money, let them come. When I was working in the private sector before government, I was making 3 times as much as I'm making now. And I could show you my statement from Social Security. You don't have to fool anybody. I could publish it, let you see. I haven't come here for anything, to any money. Just to do the good that God has asked me to do. And if I have faults, then you encourage me and show me where my faults are. Because I intend every day of my life to work for the people of this constituency. That I promise. So, my good friends, my constituents, and people of this nation choose hope over despair. Choose unity over division. Choose inclusion over exclusion. Choose integrity over dishonesty. Choose servant leadership over dictatorship. In this constituency, choose Eugene Hamilton over anybody else. And across this land of St. Kitts and Nevis, across this land of St. Kitts and Nevis, choose Team Unity over Douglas Labour. Good night, and God bless you.
Okay, there you had it, the parliamentary representative for constituency number 8. Apart from being a politician, do you know that he's also a philosopher? He's a moral philosopher. His guiding principle of ethics is a theory in moral philosophy, utilitarianism, the greatest good for the greatest number of persons, the greatest happiness for society. So all our actions and so on must lead us to do the greatest good for the greatest number in our society. Jeremy Bentham. And the long list of accomplishments that he outlined here tonight, in 5 years, I think he deserves a better round of applause. Okay, it is now time for your questions. To ask your questions, we'll do so in an orderly Okay, Bumpy, take your seat. We are going to have the presentation by the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome all of you here tonight to the first in a series of town hall meetings organized by your Team Unity administration. And I say a special thank you to the hundreds of you who have come out tonight with a pack call, and those of you who are listening throughout St. Kitts and Nevis and beyond. I want to say thanks to those of you who are here. You had a choice to do many things, but you determined in your own mind that you must go and show support and solidarity with the government that you put in power. And I say, thank you. I look at the faces here tonight. So many familiar faces and some new ones. Faces who from the very beginning rallied with the idea of Team Unity. I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I say thank you in particular to the people of constituency number 7 who have always treated me better than I deserve. I say thank you from the bottom of my heart because you have never let me down, and you never will, by the grace of God. And I pledge to the people of number 7 what I pledge to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis everywhere. I will spend every waking moment thinking of you, working for you, advancing an idea that could make St. Kitts and Nevis the model of the best managed state in the world. Today, as we celebrate our 5th anniversary, we know that St. Kitts and Nevis is a leader among countries all over the world. We had concluded this week, last week or this week, the Growth Forum. Vance, you went, what day was it? Huh? Growth Forum, the Economic Growth Forum at the Central Bank. Thursday. Vance just coming up to speed. So I was right. Last Thursday, one of the powerful addresses that had been made was an address coming from Dr. Warren Smith, who is in charge of the Caribbean Development Bank. Dr. Smith was saying, of all the borrowing member states of the Caribbean Development Bank, St. Kitts and Nevis was the best performing country in the region. Dr. Smith has no interest in the party politics in St. Kitts and Nevis. He is what you will call a regional civil servant doing his work to the best of his ability. And having analyzed all the countries in the OECS and all the countries in the wider Caribbean, he has concluded that your country is the best performing country in the region. That is why I want to commend Eugene Hamilton for reminding you of the journey that we have traveled. 5 years is not too long for you to remember what was and to look at the amazing transformation of your team unity government in 5 years. You deduct the time that we would have had to have taken to clean up the mess and the debt and the scandal and the reputational damage done to our country by the Douglas regime. And yet, 5 years after, we are number 1. Give yourselves a round of applause. Number 1, we have the lowest debt among all independent countries in the OECS. We are coming from a situation where we had the highest debt ever in the world. A pariah nation to a position where we are now the best performing country. The central bank set the standard that by 2030, member states should reach a debt to GDP ratio of 60%. We reached that 13 years ahead of time. Today, of all countries in the Caribbean, we got the best accounts. We have the best accounts. Our country is being well managed. That is what we promise you. And that is what we must safeguard going forward. We can't afford to go back to old-time something, because it is the same old labor leader, same old foolish ways, same old strategy of confusion, same old strategy of lawlessness, and we will not go back to that. We left it behind on the 16th of February 2015. 5 years after, it is forward ever with team unity. When we came in, he left us with what you would call a Bamankodet. A Bamankodet, a debt out of control. The IMF was owed $117 million as an act of discipline. I say our country must no longer be the pariah country in the world. I directed the financial secretary to write a check right off the debt. Pay off the debt. And having done so, for 5 years in a row, the country is still in surplus and not abundant. We are not just good. We are excellent. We are the best government that we have had. That is an achievement of which we can be proud. Imagine he said he was doing so well, but he owed everybody. He owed the churches. He owed the credit union. He owed Scotiabank. He owed Venezuela $122 million. $122 million for the diesel, the fuel that they brought in to keep the electricity department and Skelec going. This was a bad man who did not care. And we came in and we changed all of that. How dare you let that man to be influencing you? 5 years, 20 years at the crease, and yet you're not satisfied. He wants another chance. Chance to do what? It is 4 chances he had as head of state, and he left us in debt. He left us with our reputation bruised, damaged, destroyed. So much so that the Canadians removed the visa-free access that we had. And if we want to go for a wedding, if we want to go for a graduation, we now have to find money to apply. That is what he left us. He left us in a state where our country had become an outcast. And even Denzel Douglas, as he stood as the Prime Minister in the waning years, did not have a visa to go to America. It has never happened in the world. And I know about that. He wants now to get back in power, to get an opportunity to go to the USA as your representative. He was so messed up that the US government determined that he was not a fit and proper person to be issued with a diplomatic visa. How can a man like that come before people 5 years after to say give him a chance? That makes sense to you? Can you go back to that? When the ambassador came in to talk to him about the fact that his visa was being withdrawn, the ambassador told me he never see a man cry like a baby. That's a Denzel Douglas. Cried like a baby. You know, it is important for you to understand how far down in the gutter that bad man, son of a gun, has taken our country. He went to Barbados to get a visa. He in the line. Johnny from New Road in the line. Johnny come out and laugh. Douglas come out, can't watch nobody. He ain't get his visa. How are you going back to that old time something? We can't. In other words, his time has come and gone. And if he had any self-respect and any decency, he would have just resigned from the politics, give advice to the party that he has going down and down into the gutter. Last Saturday, there's a man, Mr. Osborne. He was there celebrating Volunteers Day. Mr. Osborne is 95 years, so he understands history. Mr. Osborne comes to the new Prime Minister to receive an award. Mr. Osborne starts by saying, this is a nice party, and the nicest parties are being held by Team Unity. Mr. Osborne went on to say that in the good days, he said, look what Labour has come to, all because of one man. And the one man believed he was 10 men in one, and brought the great party of Bradshaw and Southwell and Limor to our bastard child, out of place. And those who are there, holding on to his fractale, like Mr. Jew, like Marcella, like all the rest of them, like Wensford, who everybody in the country and wouldn't pay. All of those people, they really have no self-respect. You cannot allow any of the Labour Party candidate to come to your house to talk to you. No. If they had a new leader, if they had a new philosophy, if they had a new vision of enlightenment for our country, perhaps you could have listened. But a vote for Joe is a vote for Denzel Douglas. A vote for Rensford is a vote for Denzel Douglas, and we're not going back to the old time something. We're not going back there. So I say thank you again for your outstanding support to Team Unity. When we started, Lord, they hadn't much to say. They say we couldn't last. They say we couldn't even start. And when we were launched, they say it's only a matter of time. We would not even make it to the election. They forgot that Team Unity is the will of the people, and the will of the people usually represents the will of God. And that is why when we were elected and they tried to block the results, shut down the reporting, and we still emerged victorious. In number one, they tried to get patches out. Each time patches emerge, they say, count it over. They in the numbers, count it over. I call patches, patches where you be. Home. I say, patches, get down there. How you could be home when the lives of the people of the country are at stake? How could you be home when the Labour Party trying to treat the chances of the people of East Pasture? And by the time they had harassed themselves and tired themselves, Asim, he called Asim, you know, Douglas called Asim and asked Asim to do another recount. He working out something. I don't know who he working it out for. because the poll done closed. This accounting time. Douglas telling Asim, ask for another recount. Asim come out. When he get the message, Asim said, me not bother with that. It done do much some 6 count. Me not bother with that. You understand? So Patrice said, whatever I be, whether it is 2 or 3, I will satisfy once I win. A win is a win. But it was a remarkable win, because before that, Asim had won the seat by 9,300 votes. Patrice went in and worked the seat door to door. I was there, so I know. And turn it around to a remarkable win. And when you win and you lose by 4, you can't sleep for days. Up to now, Asim ain't get a good sleep. But he's trying to make out where who these 4 be. And every day he sees somebody, he say, I believe she one who messed me up. So they are in quite a bit of a trouble. But we have to look forward. We have started an incredible journey, putting people first. That was the politics. Because we believe in you and we spend our time working for you, we have responded to the needs of the people. We put you first when we heard your cries as former sugar workers and beneficiaries and siblings of those who were former sugar workers, who said what Douglas said. The sugar industry will not close over his dead body. He closed it and he's still alive. Understand? He paid 962 persons their servants when he closed up. And he created a big confusion. We had a strong supporter named Joe Hercules in Manchester. Joe was never satisfied. He gave Joe Hercules, I think it was $1,005. Joe Hercules sent back the money, say, are you correct it? And Joe died of a broken heart. Joe used to come to Cayon, play domino with Dwight Ward and the people there. And every time he passed a domino, he said, that man Douglas, he's too bad. And he said something before that which I can't repeat. Joe died of a broken heart. Never expected that Douglas would have treated him so bad. When we came in, we said, we will find money to assist those former sugar workers. And we were able to get $16 million from the government of Venezuela. We added another 1.5 or thereabout, and we paid out $17.5 million to over 2,000 beneficiaries of sugar workers for their labor. 962, when he who loved sugar workers so much closed it, 2,200 plus under Team Unity government. We are better than them. We are better than them. And you can't go back there. Eugene Hamilton showed you how we responded after the hurricane. Never before in living memory has any government responded with the compassion and largesse even that we have in relation to a hurricane. Hugo came. If you get a tarpaulin, you were lucky. And after that, hurricanes came and hurricanes came. All you will get is your tarpaulin and the Red Cross come and help you. But look at the difference under our Team Unity government. We responded in a big way. and over 2,000 families are in stronger homes, more resilient homes. Some will galvalume, some will galvanize, some even have wall roofs. We have responded like no government has before. And we responded for everybody. We provided to the Nevis Island administration $3.5 million of support, which was what the record show was the damage there. We went to every constituency in St. Kitts, including number 6, because that is the kind of government we are. Government for everybody. And a lady called me. You heard the story. And she called me. I was a little timid. She said, "Come, man, come." And she told me, "Dr. Harris, I don't care what Douglas say. You're better than him. You're better than him," I say. So me go closer now for she talk good. And so she told me, all the hurricanes she have gone through, nobody noticed she. She said, "I'd pray for you. I'd pray that God would bless you. And the man, they will never get back in again." She said, "I pray for you twice a day." And I recall when I was going to Brother Brown in Tabernacle for Sunday school, the golden text was about Daniel. And Daniel prayed 3 times a day. So I asked her, "How come you only prayed twice? You know, I pray 3 times." She said, "Me, I pray for you in the morning and the night." I said, "What happened around lunchtime?" For Daniel prayed at lunchtime too. She said, "Lunchtime when me I eat." Well, I could live with that. Twice then, she's given me the blessings. But it is a remarkable difference that we have prayed in terms of our policy. Look how, when we recognize that people were having difficulties making ends meet because the country was well managed, because we didn't have to find more monies to send abroad to the IMF, we were able to launch what we call the Poverty Alleviation Program, giving you what we promised you in our manifesto, $500 top up. And we are giving it in Nevis, we are giving it in St. Kitts. And over 4,000 people, we have spent over $25 million helping ordinary people reset their lives. The extra $500 is bringing decency and dignity to many of our women and men in our society. And Jean reminds me that of the 4,000, it's some 800 in a number 8. So how come they say, "Jean, I do nothing for the people"? Some of you are get the money and you all now say, those of you who are benefit should be among those in the line saying Hamilton again. The $500 top up means now that your lights shouldn't be cut because you can use that to pay. The $500 means that you could have your water because you could take out some and pay for that. The $500 mean for the poor elderly man and woman, you don't have to wait begging for a child to help you with your medication. You can take up your check, "Sonny boy, go to Value Mart, pay for my medication." The dignity of a human being is being restored. That is what we are doing. A lady tell me, "Well, this is what helped me with my children, Deb. My children, they may know no father. She is all they have. The government with the $500 has taken the place of fathers who have neglected their children. This is a government that you must defend. And when you are being called out to functions, you must be there. You should be there, showing gratitude and appreciation. Because even if you are not getting it, you see friends, you see neighbors, you see family members who are benefiting from the government's program. Yes, we have been doing the things that we set out to do. Look what happened last Saturday. That was novel. Around the length and breadth of St. Kitts in particular, the government was helping our young people provide support to the needy in our communities. Painting the houses of the elderly people. You never see it so organized. I went down to the Abbots in West Pasteur. A dwelling home with some 4 different families was being painted in appreciation of the work of the government. They say painted orange. Today is an orange day in the Abbots. Same thing was happening for an Alice News in Tabernacle. We are doing that as a government, looking out for people, ordinary people who need help and assistance. You have a government who you can say, I have a big friend, man. I have a big friend in the government to help. And what about you who had your children who were creating problems, involving guns and crimes and gangs, disrupting the order and the peace in our St. Kitts and Nevis? When 20 years before us, no government had come up with any successful response to crime. It took a team unity government to have provided us at long last some peace in the land. Peace is next to godliness. Without peace, the country cannot move forward. Without peace, those who go into our churches will not feel safe. Without peace, there is no business on the strip. There is none on 4th Street either. And we say for the peace of the country, no price is too great, because we can't put a price tag on people's life. And we came up with an alternative program to give our young people some hope. And we pray that as a result of this new program, a number of them who was on the road to Damascus, like Saul, they certainly can be reformed. Because we are giving them a second chance. We are giving them an opportunity to move out of one area to the next. We have brought to Cayon greater friendship, greater positive development. Upper and Lower Cayon are now one Cayon community. How are you going to put a price on that? I traveled the other day to Miami with a young lady. She knew more about me than I knew about her. So I have to try to feel my way. I had to laugh when I'm not supposed to really laugh. But I have to make her feel happy. And we keep talking and we're talking. She said to him, I want to tell you this. I live in the States for all these years. I want to come back to help people set up small businesses. But she said, I used to wake up feeling ashamed of my country. Because when you all have all this shooting from the other islands, they are calling. What happened to St. Kitts? What go on down there? And she had no answer. She said, let me tell you this. Whatever you all are doing, continue to do it. continue to do it. And we are transforming lives. The Chamber of Industry has commended our efforts. The church has commended our efforts. The only person who seemed unhappy about peace is Denzel Douglas. And you must ask yourself why. Why Denzel Douglas want the young men to be shooting up one another? Why Denzel Douglas want a climate of uncertainty and disruptiveness and lawlessness in the country? Why Denzel Douglas do you want to get back to power and the lives being lost when you had 20 years to fix it and you weren't able to do? That is a man you have to keep far away from. What a man. 20 years did nothing to check the situation. When Douglas came to power in 95, we had at most 3 homicides. 3! By 2011, it had gone up maybe 1,000% to 35 homicides. He brought in Sidney Walwyn, they lock up all kind of people, put the government that came after them in debt for wrongful arrests. Because the solution was to make a point, lock them up. Sidney tell me was a man to say, somebody have to go in the cell tomorrow. I don't care how you get it done. That is what the rumor is. And the result of that is that when we came in and the judges throughout the case, people come in to say, pay them hundreds of thousands of your hard-earned tax dollars. We have to deal with that. And that is why I say to you, we can't take what we have for granted. Things are good. Things will get better for the next 5 years. Because if we could come in and do such things that they never do. Patrice built a second coup spare. For 20 years they promised it. They couldn't get it out of the pipeline. Thank God for Team Unity, the best performing government. We deliver it. We had a situation at Mary Charles. They allowed the hospital there to go to the dogs. Within 5 years under Team Unity, we have provided a brand new Mary Charles Hospital in service to the people of this country. Where Douglas lived in St. Paul's, Douglas lived less than 2 minutes. Quick walk from the St. Paul's police station. Douglas allowed that dream talk about asbestos to go right down to the dogs. We had to shut it down for the safety. Douglas doesn't care about anyone but himself. And he will tell any lie to get to the end. You know, at time we had an interesting talk. And Douglas told me that I was too honest. I said, but I couldn't tell the man the lie there. He said, a lie is a strategy. That is what he sees lies at. A strategy. He said, you all get this thing about lie. What is a lie? He said, a lie is a strategy. So that is why when you hear him come now, promising you what he couldn't do in 20 years, for the old time something that want to come back again, a lie is a strategy. Don't let him fool you. When he comes now to tell us he had 20 years in government, never conceived the construction of a brand new Bastille High School, to come to tell us now, because Shana deliver one, I'm going to build a brand new high school. But you said nothing wrong with it. You said nothing wrong with it. You said we shouldn't move from the situation. But for Denzel Douglas, in desperation, a lie is no longer an untruth. A lie is a strategy. A strategy to fool you. Don't let the man fool you. Don't go back. to that. Can't let them fool you. When he says he has a program for young people, what program could he have after 20 years? He left joblessness in the run-up to the election to try to fool people. He set up the PEP program, which was to last for 6 months, because he had promised that the motion of no confidence will be held within 6 months. Just give me a chance, he told the country, to get you my budget. You know, I need to get you the budget because people wouldn't get paid, and I will not have that. Let us pass the budget, and then I will do the motion. And some people did believe. They didn't understand the nature of Denzel Douglas. For Denzel Douglas, a lie, an untruth, an act of deception is a strategy to get what he wants out of you. So when he comes to say he will do this, don't believe him. Keep that man far from you. Far as you can. The old people would say, feed Denzel Douglas with a long spoon. You need a very, very long spoon that must serve as a reminder for 20 years backwards what he did to our country, and we're not going back to that. The future, we promise you, will be a safer one. Continued build-out of our security apparatus. Continued support for law enforcement officers. Continued support for our health sector will bring into being a brand new center to assist those with heart diseases. We spent time in Barbados talking about that. They say now it is the #1 killer of people in the Caribbean. And we now have to develop it. There's a young man in the USA, came here earlier, and he told earlier last year, and he told me he's a doctor. He's a specialist in heart diseases. He told me his contribution to his country will be to set up the most modern center at the JNF hospital to treat people with heart diseases. Give him a round of applause. Our sons and daughters are coming back home to make their contribution because they feel confident of the St. Kitts and Nevis that we have transformed. In Tabernacle, 2 young men, well, they're not so young, but make them feel nice. 2 young men are coming back from Canada. They have big ambitions of building a 5-star hotel in the village of their birth. Give them a round of applause. A renewed confidence in our country. As we speak, hotels are coming and streaming West Barstow, in Martinley. Everywhere else we have project proposal. A brand new one to come and stream in Frigate Bay. And Coy just opened, providing jobs for over 100 people. Before the middle of this year, we expect Tilloff Hotel to open, bringing with it jobs for near 600 people when fully operational. All these things are happening under our watch. This is God's blessings, you know. And we have to count our blessings. Count them one by one. It will surprise you. Not only what God has done, but what God has blessed this Team Unity government to do on behalf of you. So I want to end by saying a hearty thank you to you, the people of number 8. You are special. Because you see, elections were on the 16th. So many of you, on the 17th, we still counted and counting and counting up a number 8. So I call in Jean. Jean, what happened up there? Are you ready to go get swearing on behalf of the people? Jean vote still a count. We had to get ourselves in a little motorcade, go up to Stapleton, where the count was happening, said Team Unity done win, bring them in. And that is how they release Gene from the honorous recount. Based on his performance. Based on his performance, Upper Cayon, Lower Cayon cannot deny Eugene Hamilton his next term in the administration of Team Unity government. Keys will support him. Canada and Connery will support him. Half Moon will support him. And St. Peter's will support him because he has not turned his back upon the people. So thank you all very much for giving him the support. Last time he won by 236. I want this to go up to 500 and something. And for us to deliver that, all of us have to work hard. I want to say this to you. A vote for every candidate and Team Unity platform is a vote for the other. When you vote for Eugene Hamilton, you vote to make Dr. Harris the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I am counting on you. When you vote for the Honorable Sean Richards, you vote for him to become your next representative and to join the administration as our Deputy Prime Minister. When you vote for Ian Patrice Libert, you're voting for Patrice, yes, but you're voting for Harris, you're voting for Sean, you're voting for Jean, because we are a team. All for one and one for all. When you vote in number 4 for Lindsey Grant, you vote to keep the team intact. When you vote for Jonell Powell in number 2, you vote to keep the team intact. When you vote for Keela Byron in number 3, you vote to keep intact. When you vote for the other members of the team, you give them all your fullest support. Well, when you vote for Harris, you vote for every member of the team. When you vote for Mark Brantley, you are voting for the team. Whoever they are, wherever they are, once it's a Team Unity candidate, we are going to give them our support. Put aside whatever your feelings. We are voting based on performance. We are voting based on the incredible and parallel leadership and delivery of the Team Unity administration. So thank you very much, one and all, for wonderful support. To God we give the glory. Lord, in here feels so nice and I want to stop, but I can stop just now. God bless you.
You finished clapping? Okay. The Prime Minister outlined a lot of firsts. First, poverty alleviation program. The first in terms of roof repair. The first for a second cruise pier. And a lot of other firsts that he outlined. Now that you're fired up, it is time for you to ask your questions. I want to set some guidelines for your questions. First, formulate your questions. Formulate your questions before you come to the mic. Have your questions clear. Secondly, please refrain from long commentaries. Make your question to the point. Thirdly, when people are asking their questions, please listen. We do not want comments and people saying things while somebody is at the mic. Okay, those are the guidelines for the rules for asking your questions. Okay. We have someone at the mic.
Mic is not on. Oh, yeah. So-and-so, that's good. Anyhow, I say good night to Team Unity people and to Team Unity government. I say a good night to a very nice and decent Prime Minister. This message is going to the Prime Minister and his colleagues. What I have here to hear tonight to say that then I'm congratulating the Team Unity for a #1 job that been done. And when I say a #1 job that been done, I mean in psychology way of technology, of science, of diplomatic corps. Now, everybody do not understand that kind of psychology. But then, when I told Mr. Timothy Harris he's going to be the next Prime Minister, and different things like this here, he told me, don't let Douglas hear it. So due to the fact of certain circumstances, he become my hold on, man. Let me speak and finish. Let me speak and finish. Now, I the one that open the floor. Now, what I have to say here tonight, that then I'm congratulating the Prime Minister and all the ministers of government for a very good job for the Federation. I need the people to ward unity again. I do not want nobody else to go out, because we cannot bring back a man who has been burglarized the country and steal from the country and different things like that. We have a #1 accountant. When you are a good man, what you do? You hold on to him. Ladies, man, hear me.
Okay. Thank you, Bumpy. Additionally, when you come to the mic, please state your name so people can know who you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Enver Pemberton, a.k.a. Evangelist Penn, who would be in no need of introduction because, of course, the video has gone viral. I almost did not come in here tonight because I don't want to go anywhere where I'm a bigger sensation than my ministers. You would excuse me. But for tonight, I want to say, like Brother Noah very briefly, to everybody, Team Unity adherents and Laborites alike, come thou and all thy house into the ark and be saved. And Revelation 12:5 tells us why. For outside are dogs, and who among us? It didn't say labor dogs, and all that maketh a lie, stranger to the truth. We are going to debar them from the citadel of power forever. My question now to the panel. Before I do that, I'm in trouble, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm in trouble, and I'm coming to you. I had a rather unsettling experience today. The paparazzi is on me. A lovely lady came up to me while I was plying my trade. And she told the tourists, get away from him. He is the scammer. The lady had the face of, she's so pretty, she's shapely and pretty, so pretty she could have been an angel. But if only she had wings, she would have been a cockroach. Massive was there. When I asked Massive, who is she? He said, that's the wife of Congress Maynard. I said, no wonder he looks so undersexed in Parliament. I turned to the woman and I said, why are you here with me? And she said, sexual harassment. I'm a lawyer. The lady is cold if she can say that. He's under sex. Mr. Prime Minister, I went downtown in adherence to the law and I took out this. I want you, in front of everybody, to tell me if the certificate I have is valid or not. I'm going to put it up here to the Prime Minister and let them answer that and say one more thing. I went down here, Mr. Prime Minister, and what happened 12 years ago? I was touring as an evangelist. God called me before I was overtaken with alcoholism. Douglas Watley crafted my contract for me. He's my friend now. He was my friend then. And look, in my contract, Mr. Prime Minister, they were paying me $2,500 per month, $500 every time I speak, $500 an hour. Now hold up. Everybody knows that. Mr. Prime Minister, I was getting out from parole. Yvette, my big sister, and Lucine came. Whenever I was confined, I was always in the trenches. Ex-cons here could tell you, they always ask you a question in parole. Why should we let you out? I couldn't talk. I saw Yvette and Lucy for the first time in 25 years. I couldn't talk. When I went back out and they asked me, Mr. Prime Minister, what did you say? I said, I couldn't talk. I wasn't supposed to have a telephone in jail. I'm resourceful. Mr. Prime Minister, I called Lucine, and when I called them, they said, when I called them, please, they said, look, I said, Lucine, what did you say? I said nothing. Okay. Mr. Prime Minister, I was the only man out of 10 people to get out of jail. I went back up there in church. Daddy got up. You all know me as a drunk for 10 years. Daddy said, okay, I have a burden on my heart. Mr. Prime Minister, I am the only one. Tonight. Look, I am sober. My question is, that's right. I am an evangelist. I took out my license to practice. I want to thank Mr. Grant tonight for 100 ATM machines at my disposal. If you tell me to pack it up, I'm going home, but I took out a license, and I want you to answer whether or not I'm out of place. Good evening, folks.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
Good evening, all. I just want to stand. My name is Richard Isaac. I would just like to stand here and say to the Honorable Mr. Hamilton, thank you very much for the house that you built for Vandy Williams. I met Vandy because he's a recipient of the Martha's Kitchen from the Moravian Church. And he spoke to me and told me it seems like no one is bothering with him. And I went to Mr. Hamilton and asked him to do this. And I know there's quite a lot of people in the area who told him not to do it. But it's not a color thing. It's a God thing. And it's a humanitarian thing. And on behalf of him and his mother, I would just like to say thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Good night. My name is Alfonso Williams. I'm a young entrepreneur. I own Williams Electricals. I'm a certified electrician by trade. I have a question for Mr. Vance Amory as the Labor Commissioner, and one for the Attorney General. Mr. Amory, do you think when you work, you should be paid? That's one question. Mr. Vance, Mr. Attorney General, if you're not paid, why should you have to pay thousands of dollars to go to court to get your own money? That's one question. And I feel when you win the case, you should be paid double. Double for what you had to go through for compensation. Because some people using the court as to play you out for time. So they know you're going to get fed up, so you're going to just stop and don't want to go bother with court. And it's happening all the time. I haven't been paid since 2017 and invested almost $60,000 of my money. And up to today, my matter just gone to court 3 weeks ago just to get my money for a contract I was paid for. I'd just like you to answer those questions for me. Thank you.
Do we have other questions? If not, I give the panel an opportunity to respond. Senior Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good night to all of you who are here at this town hall meeting. I want to thank you for coming to listen to the Team Unity government as they give you a report of their stewardship. I am Minister with responsibility for Labor and Social Security and Ecclesiastical Affairs. So I will now want to answer Mr. Williams' question. The question he asked me is, do you think that you should be paid when you have worked? It's only one answer. Yes? No, I think Mr. Williams' question may have more behind it than the question itself indicates. But I really cannot answer more than if you work, you should be paid. Once you have an agreement, you're employed, you do the work which you have agreed to do, you should be paid for it. Now, I can't say more than that. But Mr. Williams, I hope you get paid from whomever hired you. Okay, thank you very much.
Attorney General.
Good evening, everyone. And I think Mr. Williams wanted to know, why is it that you have to pay a lot of money to recover monies that are owed to you when you have worked? We live in a country based on laws, the rules by which we operate. And if there is a breach of those rules, the breach of the law, we go to the court to get redress. If there is a contract between one person and another person, and one individual does not fulfill their part of the contract, you have to go to the court to get redress. The government does offer, in some cases, support for you if you cannot afford a lawyer. We have a legal aid and advice center that's on West Square Street that allows people who do not have the wherewithal to go to a lawyer and pay big money. There are certain types of cases that the Legal Aid Advice Center on West Square Street will take. There is a means test to see if you can afford a lawyer. If you can afford a lawyer, you should go to somebody else who can put the resources in. But we have provided, the state has provided lawyers for certain types of cases for people who cannot afford to pay big money. And so that is the legal system we have. If it is, there is an agreement between Mr. Williams and another person. The way to settle that agreement is in the court system. That is what the rule of law is. And this country is based on laws. We do not want anybody to take up the machete. If you have a dispute, you settle it in the court.
I would just like to respond. Richard, Isaac, I want to thank Richard for pointing out that we just completed construction of a house for somebody who has been for 11 years incapacitated, can move nothing below his neck. Now, it is important to note that the government has been doing work like this across the country. For example, in New Road, there was a lady who had a house. The roof was pure shreds. From several hurricanes in the 90s, she was never able to do anything with a house roof, and the previous administration did nothing for her. We restructured a new house, built it, and now she's living in safe quarters. And then, of course, this gentleman you referred to, Richard, yes, people came and said, don't do anything for him, because they say he's from a labor family. And that may have been true. He's from a strong labor family. Everybody knows Chesdo family. That's where he's from. But it was not about labor, PAM, or PLP. It was about the need. The young man was in need, and as a matter of fact, he was being asked to be thrown out of that house where he occupied. And I will tell you further, I know that family so long, to be quite honest, because the young man, the first person in that family to break away from labor and back PAM in the 80s, was thrown out on the street with his clothes. And he lives in the Virgin Islands now, a fellow named Wallin. I taught him in school. And so politics is complicated. People think it's gray and white. It's always gray. It's either black or white, but there's gray between sometimes. And so we have to understand, it's not about whether you're PAM, labor, or whatever it is. It's about who is in need. And those who are in need, we have to show compassion. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve the young man and his family. And I trust, in fact, we have done that for others. You know, Baby Daniel was in the alley in Bryan Alley. And she was there in a house which really you could see through. And she has been housed in a house down at the same Hermitage area. Until she dies, she's in something called a social house. Go to St. Peter's tomorrow. We build some houses right at Parry. Some individual units, we have like what you call a studio apartments. It is important to look at that. It will be used, some of it will be used for social housing. In fact, one room that we have there will house a guy in St. Peter's who is sleeping on the galvanized for years, for about nearly 20 years. He's living on the one galvanized. I went to see where he lived. I couldn't believe it. So he will get that as one of our social housing program. And it is supported by the government. Supported by the government.
Good night, Unity family. Oh, it's a lovely sight. Everybody looking lovely. My good friend Bill from Cayon, how are you? We can't kick down this bucket. This bucket can't kick down at all. Honorable Wendy Phipps, I want to pose a question to you. Because we have some people in the health department especially down at Park and Beach. I want to know the role of some of them as supervisors. Because this government here ain't gonna be paying people money and ain't supervising the work, you know. And I want you to listen to me loud and clear, because if it's one man on talk in this country, it's me. Because I didn't duck in and hide in. I was up front. And I believe this is the time for me to talk, and I will. We have a place named Pretoria Square in Bastille. One of the sites where the tourists them walk through the museum and come straight up to the circus by Piccadilly Square. And when I look and see what's going on down there, it hurt me head. I can't believe up to now. It hurt me head. Please correct it. Drive down there and correct it. Send that jokey fella down there in Park and Beach to visit there and send somebody to clean it. It's not looking nice. Ashbury's take it over in the early years from Sandy Kassab. God bless her. She carried the place for almost 30 years. Till owners make mistake and bring some vagabonds in this country and run it to the ground. And she pay for it. Clean it. They're going bankrupt now. And this fellow making money. And they won't do nothing. And we put him there. Man, Dragon used to do a better job to me. We think that we put them there because we could put them there. We put them there to make the government look good. In all the sections of the government, we got too many vagabonds and supervisors doing nothing. I finish. We got a lot of town hall meeting. I'm going to come with you.
Good evening. Hello, Jam Down. Thank you so much for that question. Yes, I will look into it. I am quite familiar with the history behind Pretoria Garden. That is the real name of it. Even though there are some persons who have difficulty with the name because somehow to their mind it brings back memories of apartheid, knowing that there is a capital state within South Africa called Pretoria, but one has nothing to do with the next. It is true that Ashbury's would have taken over control of Pretoria Garden in terms of keeping it clean. And that company, I do not think it is fully functional at the moment, the Ashbury's company. As a matter of fact, it is a matter that the senior minister who is responsible for labor is looking into at the moment. So you would have noticed that when you pass by, you would see the place shuttered more often than it's open. However, on the matter with supervision, it is something that I have to agree wholeheartedly with Jam Down on. Because at the end of the day, we hire supervisors who are responsible for the productivity and the output of the staff under their direction. By extension, if those staff members are not performing, you as a supervisor should not be dishonest and perpetuate the non-performance by signing off on their timesheets at the end of the week to act as if they have done work. And that is part of our difficulty that we will continue to face if the supervisory structures within government do not do their part to assist the government and top management in ensuring that people must do an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. I promise you, Jam Down, I will pass and look at the area myself. I will try to have a conversation with the new management of Ashbury's the existing management rather, while I know the senior minister is also engaging in that activity for other reasons. And at the same time, we will get Parks and Beaches to address it as a matter of urgency. But thank you for the question.
Do we have any more questions?
I think my voice is beginning. My question is to the Minister of Education.
Could you state your name? Speak into the mic.
Sorry. Shauna Pemberton. My question is to the Minister of Education. Are there any scholarships available for young persons who just finished college to attend any colleges overseas other than Taiwan and Cuba and them sort of things? They don't want to go to those islands, probably because of the subject they're doing, or any of those. I'm talking about like full scholarships for parents who can't afford it. Thank you.
Good evening.
Remember one of the rules I laid down, that when people are asking their question, that we listen. It is a sign of respect.
I am not aware of any full scholarships apart from those offered to students attending university in Taiwan and Cuba. The government does offer partial scholarships to other universities within the region and beyond the region. For example, students who have an interest in going to the University of the Virgin Islands, there's a partial scholarship in the amount of 5,000 US, I think it is, per year. For students attending Monroe University, there's also a partial scholarship. For those who have been attending the University of the West Indies, the government has been paying the economic cost in respect of those students. And that approximates to over $1 million per year by the government. What I can say to you, though, is that students should not look at going to Taiwan and Cuba as merely having to study a different subject, and because of that they opt not to go to Cuba or to Taiwan. They get the opportunity to learn a second language. They get the opportunity to learn a different culture. Many of our persons have studied in both Cuba and Taiwan and have returned and have made and are making a meaningful contribution towards the development of the Federation. If it is that a student opts to go elsewhere, then of course it comes with a cost, and that individual will have to determine how he or she will meet that additional cost. Whether it is through financial assistance by family members, taking a loan from Development Bank, etc. So it is a cost that an individual would have to weigh. I don't want to go to where full scholarship is offered. I want to go to some other school. Then of course you have to determine how it is going to be financed. The reality is that the government cannot offer full scholarships to all persons interested in seeking a university education. As much as the government is able to assist, the government tries to do so.
Okay. Any other question?
I would invite the senior minister who has served as Minister of Education for many years to share some perspective on the question put by Ms. Pemberton. Senior Minister.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Just to add to what Minister of Education and Deputy Prime Minister has indicated, the government is willing to assist our people to pursue education at universities. But the choice of subject is what we were looking for. You know, a lot of people want to do business administration, they want to do different courses which they think are easy, but which are not. There are so many people in those areas that is creating a difficulty. A lot of people want to do law. They have things like geriatric, we want to do people in nursing, you know, specific needs which will ensure that they have a job. But people will do what they want to do, but they don't want to find the cost and the means to do so. The government has a responsibility to try to provide the resources for what is needed for the development of the people and the development of the country. And we really want people to begin to ask questions. What areas what would the government want you to pursue? And if you have the capacity, you've been to high school, you've studied a range of subjects. Surely you could adapt yourself to pursuing those areas which will bring benefit to the country and to yourself. And one area we are struggling with is nursing. Nursing is an area where we are trying to persuade people to try to enter. They don't want to do that. But if the government, through the Ministry of Health, hires people from outside, then we have arguments that we are bringing people to take the jobs. But we need our people to begin to respond to the need which the country has for the resources. And in that regard, the government then will be willing to assist with the training at universities, whether it's at UWI or anywhere where the training is accessible. So I think that is what I just wanted to add to help our people to understand the opportunities are there, but they need to make sure they take advantage of the opportunities which are available. Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
Any other questions? I think there was an appeal sometime earlier as well for males to enter the nursing profession. And the profession has been stigmatized that it's a profession for females. And it is important, I think, that males consider entering the nursing profession. There's nothing wrong with the nursing profession. It is not only for females, it is also for males. Only in these parts, in places like Asia and so on, you have a lot of male nurses and so on. And we have to come on board, I think, and break the stigma of males entering the nursing profession. Any other questions? How come you all not asking questions? Is that there are no questions? No. Give somebody else a chance. Is it something different? Okay, we invite the Honorable Ian Patches-Liebert to make some comments. No? Okay. No more questions. Go ahead.
Back again. This goes to the Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, as a contractor, I would like to know, I personally feel you got some facts in the head house you need to get out. One of them facts tell me, right, that as long as he's manager for any project, I'm not gonna get a work. And that was 2017. I may get one work. Right? And the thing what bother me about that, or you ain't do the man nothing, or you just tell the man to pay me my money, and he tell me I ain't gonna get a work. And I live in St. Kitts. Anybody who know me in a confusion person. I don't beg, I don't want thief, I just borrow. Because I have to go to a loan to pay for the $60 that I in, and I can't give back my money. Now, when I went to study, I'm a certified electrician. I went and I did my study, Penfaster Career School. I came back here, right? And he tell me I ain't gonna work, and from since me ain't gonna work. Not from government project. Get me clear, me ain't gonna work from the government project. You understand? So my question to you is, what you're doing to prevent things like that from me who went to study, I had to pay to study, and somebody gonna just put you as, because you tell them you want your money, you can't gonna work. I just, you know. No, you don't call name. Okay. Maybe know who it is.
Okay. We have somebody on the floor. remember our rule. We have someone on the floor.
Good night again. I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for moving the PEP office and putting it in a location where everybody could recognize it. It's spacious, it's nice, but we have the treasury, we have the post office below. Where the PEP office is. The PEP office is where the Inland Revenue used to be. And it's brilliant thinking, because just as the Prime Minister handling the affairs of this country, he handled that. And I must give him some props. But I come to say, I want to say to the people of Cayon that the late Watley, he has done something very good in the PEP office, where I recognize some people who mentally challenged, who go down in the center and get medication. And when I look at the works down in Port Zante, I must congratulate Watley to pushing that through and giving these youth employment. You see some of these guys on the road and they're sick, and we feel like, oh, they're crazy, and just leave them. If you go down Port Zante and you see some of them pottery and some of these stores, you can't believe it's people who go down in the center. And I want to say good night to the nurse at Boardwalk, who head down there, the top nurse. But before I left, I must congratulate Honorable Ian Patches Loibon, and I want you to put some paint on the post office. It should be looking a little more brighter, and some membrane, the tar, the asphalt thing on top, because we had people there overseeing and they make a mess. Because I can't be no permanent secretary, in fact, a supervisor, and don't carry out my function. Now Christmas, visitors, kitishans from Canada, come here and come over Port Zante and recognize going in the pastor post, water dripping through the concrete, and you had a permanent secretary playing politics. Do I work, man, and let us look good. Do I work? That's what you want from me, you know. I just want to perform. Perform. Do I work? The government try the best to help you. Some I will do a thing and give up. And I go there, I playing the politics. Right over here in Cayon, you got some of them in the schools. Wouldn't go walk? I support the party, I go and walk. Stop playing the labor thing and do the work and build we country. Good night, culture.
Yeah, Jamdal, just one correction. It was PEP under the former administration. It is now STEP, Skills Training Empowerment Program. It is stepped up. Yeah. Okay, there are a number of activities that the government continue to have in celebration of its 5th year anniversary. On Friday, the 21st, there is a National Health Step and Career Expo in the Independence Square from 9 to 6. That's on Friday at Independence Square, 9 to 6, National Health Step and Career Expo. Also on Friday, you have the handing over at homes at Parry, which is in constituency number 8, Minister Hamilton's constituency, and that is at 5 p.m. So you are invited to come out in your numbers to witness. On Saturday, the 22nd, there's the 869 Moving Forward concert featuring Morgan Heritage at the Nevis Cultural Village at 8 p.m. Also on Saturday, you have a walk through in St. Peter's from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I think the Prime Minister has a one-on-one consultations on Saturday. What time? From 10 to 1 in his constituency down at his office in Tabernacle. On Sunday, there's a church service at Shiloh Baptist Church in Nevis that starts at 11 a.m. I think there are boats, so listen out for the time of the boats. On the 25th is our next town hall meeting. That is in Central Bastille at the McKnight Community Center at 7:30 p.m. On the 25th, which is Tuesday, is the next town hall meeting. So those are activities that all of you are invited to attend. You want to say something? Patches? Okay. I would, Patches, you haven't said anything all night. You're the only person.
That's true. Good night all. Family? We are still here. I really want to commend Jam Down for being what they call an exemplary patriot. And perhaps we need some more jam downs, right? So not only keep our feet to the fire, but to keep the civil servants' feet to the fire as well. And I want to, in the process, assure him and the entire country that we will look at the painting of the post office as you recommended, because it's part of our transformation, not only of Bastille, but of the entire country. You know, we are doing the West Bus Line rehabilitation, and that should be completed in a few weeks. I'm advised that the remaining material came in sometime this week. So that is part of the revitalization of Bastille. And we are, as you are aware as well, the Old Road Bay project is looking real good. And Old Road Bay will never be the same again, thanks to our Team Unity administration. So painting the post office and other buildings is part of the process of making St. Kitts look like the international country it is. And the smallest, as well, we are going to advance on the phase 2 of the traffic, lighting the traffic signals. The traffic signals will be here very shortly as well. So that congestion in downtown Bastille will be of the past. And as those who've been to Bastille, you will observe as well that the public works, whereas we are doing the Island Main Road, the public works itself is downtown, resurfacing the Bay Road. We do apologize for the inconvenience, but again, that's part of transforming the entire country, and that's what Team Unity is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Patches. Okay, I now invite Delwayne Delaney to give the vote of thanks. Mr. Delaney, he's not here. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I know this is a unity government event, but let me just take a minute. Family! All right. Now I feel like we're going somewhere. Before I start, please allow me to apologize for the absence of Mr. Delwayne Delaney, who had another event and was unable to make it here this evening. allow me to adopt the protocol set here thus far this evening. Let me say thank you first and foremost to God Almighty who has brought us through these first 5 years. And so, let me say thanks to his messenger this evening, Mr. Mark Huggins, for invoking his presence here. Thank you, Ms. Levine Hutchinson and Mr. Shamar Pemberton for such a lovely rendition of the national anthem. Now this part is very dear to my heart. Thank you to our very own, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, who always challenges us to hold dear to the fundamental principles of compassion, good governance, and unity. 51 houses in St. Peter's, roads in Cabbage Tree Phase 2. I live there, and I get my house, I shake my keys. Thanks again for reminding us that this unity government is a government for the youths. We playing football under lights. Atiba ain't got nothing on us. Park name after him, but Minister, make sure we got lights to play here. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Now, after I have already said thank you to Mr. Minister, I am stumped now for words to say thank you to our Prime Minister. How do I say thank you to a very loved Prime Minister? How do I say thank you to a man who has taken the mantle of leadership for this great coalition and has made us proud to be able to say, unity all the way? To you, Mr. Prime Minister, please allow me to say thank you on behalf of Constituency 8 and the entire country. Thanks to you, the members of Cabinet, who made the journey here to our humble home in support and celebration of our 5th anniversary. Honorable Sean Richards, Honorable Eugene Hamilton, Honorable Vance Amory, Honorable Vincent Byron, Honorable Wendy Phipps, thank you for your able support. Hold on. I have to say an extra thank you to Honorable Patches for giving us such a lovely painted outside building, but we are waiting for the painting inside. Okay? And Minister didn't tell me to say it, eh? Thank you. It's lovely and pink out there. Paint it yellow in here. We're good with that. Let me say an even bigger and brighter thank you to the people, you, every single person in here, and everyone out there within the sound of my voice. Without you, we would not be here celebrating 5 years of unity. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not done yet. I still have to say thank you to Mr. Lesroy Williams, who has done such an awesome job chairing this evening's proceedings. To you, our technical crew, I say thanks for your hard work in ensuring that our citizens, home and abroad, are able to view and hear this event. Last but not least, thanks to the organizers who made this evening possible. You know who you are. This evening, before we leave here, let me invite you to take a little piece of the Honorable Eugene Hamilton's favorite quote. Choose servant leadership over dictatorship. 5 more years of unity, I say.
And we say thank you to you for giving the vote of thanks. Thank you very much for coming out to tonight's town hall meeting, and we will see you at the other activities that I announced. The next town hall meeting in Central Bastille at the McKnight Community Center on the 25th of this month, which is Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Thank you to all the ministers. Good night.